What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Hour of Need by Blacklist Games, designed by Adam and Brady Sadler, and this is the fourth iteration of the Modular Deck System. So now, with that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
So this is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and above, and plays in about 60 minutes.
Yeah, I think it can go longer if you go with 4 players, or especially if you go up to 6 players, because the game is expandable with the 3 different standalone expansions that are for 1 to 2 players. There's Judge and Jury, Gemini's, and Divine Law. And one thing I'll say is you should definitely take a look and try to pick those up, because just a little bit of spoiler, your Hour of Need experience is probably going to be better with more heroes. Now, on that note, we're going to talk about what you will be doing in the game. Well, you have a dastardly villain. In this case, we've got the villain known as Curtain. His goal is trying to get all of this cargo as he's working for a cartel. So you will be trying to defeat him, and the first thing you're going to be doing is trying to solve different schemes that are going to go into your play area. We haven't dealt those out yet, but there are 4 corresponding to the different colored locations on the map. Each player is going to have one of them. After you solve them, the villain will then reveal himself and be able to be engaged with directly on the board. And you also be, saving bystanders, which may or may not show up on the map. You're going to be fighting the different stooges and lackeys. And as this is a modular deck system game, you're going to be building out your abilities, trying to get all your constants into play, and then playing cards directly from your hand for free actions or taking some more powerful actions as you try to chain together everything that you can to execute the best turn possible, because you're only going to have 2 actions per turn. We've got these nice playmats and these nice tokens that make it quite clear. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see if we can take down Curtain. Dowager has fallen before us. Now we just got to deal with this guy.
So it's time to grab our drinks.
Yes, and grab our fellow superhero or heroine.
We're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. You're going down, Curtain.
I hope Stride's as much fun as Majesty.
Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for Hour of Need and a little bit more of an in-depth look at the heroes. So as usual, we will start with what is not on the table. So we've got the rule book. You do have a list of components. You get some nice credits on the back, just the optional rules such as allies and nemesis. Now, if you do happen to get this game as a retail version, you may have some differences. One thing that I do want to note is the beginning of each rule book until about this page here, page 10 or page 11, will be different. And the reason why I say that is if you do happen to buy one of the Hour of Need 1 to 2 player expansion boxes / standalone games, this part is a little different, but it's everything that you need to set up and play the game. It's very straightforward. If you've played an MDS game before, you will definitely know where you're going. This is what is known as the issue guide. It has all the instructions for each of the missions, and even some cool story beats that will come out depending on the different problems that you have to solve during the scenario. Now, if you happen to be playing a 4-player game, each story beat will trigger. So those are the rule books. We'll next start by taking a look at the issue boards. You get 2 of them. There are 4 different issues. So each of them has their own board. This one is Century Heist. On the back here is Making Waves. You've got the scheme panels, which relate to these sections of the board. Location for peril tokens, starting spot, and then you may have some crates and other things that are specific to the map. I'm just going to move that off for a second while I take a look at the other boards. So here we have Automated Chaos, and on the other side we've got Volume 36. So pretty cool stuff. I do really like the way the colors pop and the art. Below these boards, we have just some different tokens. They're all different except for the ones here. You can see the peril tokens. They correspond with these peril slots on the board. They'll show up when effects trigger. This is the action token for the players. These are the minion tokens right here that you're going to be using in every single play of the game. So hopefully that will let you get a nice look at it. Not sure if my camera's focusing on it specifically, Other than that, you've got some things like Rock Lee, the Abductor, Gabby, and a few other tokens that will come into play depending on the scenario that you're playing. So here we've got Dowager, the easiest villain. So she controls a gang. And we've got her henchmen. Now, the game does come with 8 bases, as there are 2 faction sets. I just put my bases directly on them. Next, we've got Curtains. So, pretty cool. Phantom of the Opera looking character. And here we've got the bases once again. So we'll take a look at the villain decks. We're just going to look at Dowager to give you an idea how it works. So you have Dowager, her showdown side, as well as her solving side, well, the scheming side. So we'll start with her on the scheming side. After that, she'll go to the showdown side. And here you can see we got the Stooges, different lackeys. We have her ploy cards, which will have different effects that will trigger. Sometimes it's special. And then if you're facing off against her in a showdown, you're going to read the showdown effects as well. So as you can see, different things. Then we've got Widowmaker, which is the peril. And it's the same for all villain decks. Ploy cards, peril cards, and the enemy cards. And they all have different effects. So when you do see this symbol here, a cloud, you need to be using your solve effect to try and take them down. Now we're going to move on actually to the other part over here. We're going to save the heroes for last, as that's the longest part. If you're not interested in the discussion about the heroes in particular, feel free to skip ahead to the review. There'll be timestamps down below. Here we have some of the Kickstarter content. So we do have the 2 nemesises. We've got the Lovecrafter, Snare, and Time Frame, who is an ally. And then here is just the game round card, which you get 4 of. So this will be included in your game. We'll take a look at the miniatures. So Time Frame is an ally. He can be controlled by the heroes moving around the board to solve and attack. Lovecrafter, who is a formidable nemesis that will make the game more difficult because they'll start in play. Then we've got the other character here. I'm drawing blank on his name, but definitely reminds me of Craven / Crocodile Dundee. Take a look right here. It's Snare. Here we have the clue cards, so just different cards that you can get. You can either spend them to gain this extra die value or trigger the effects such as you may move, you may solve, heal 3 damage, you may attack, you may solve, you can even get 2 dice. So there's some pretty good stuff that you can do with these different clue cards. Now, over here, we've got the different tokens, the focus token, justice tokens that come in values of 1, 5, and 10. Same thing with the damage tokens right here, 1, 5, and 10. These are the hidden tokens, which are the amount of tasks you're going to have to solve before the villain will flip over from their scheming side to their showdown side. The bystander tokens, then we have the issue tokens that may be inactive or active with the blue side up, depending on where you're at with the scenario. Now, I just stacked these all up here. These are all of the different issues that you're going to be facing. And some of these I actually had flipped the wrong way. As you can see, they correspond to different locations, such as the square, shipping bay, and things that you're going to have to do in order to resolve what's going on. And as you can see, they're all different. They come with their own setup card, their own challenges, and such. You can just see also there's some of the back of the cards. So anything that's double-sided typically is going to be one of these cards that you're going to take out of play. Everything else should have, like Automated Chaos, Volume 36. These cards will be on the back. So you just follow the instructions to set them up. And the issue is fairly straightforward. You draw one of those at the end of the turn. Now we'll talk about the heroes. So we'll start with Micro Guy, who you start as a pilot, but it can also turn into this big mech. They can do that by becoming focused or having an in-game effect. So as you can see, he's got 3 solve, 1 attack. On this side, it's 3 attack, 1 solve. And Micro Guy is very much your versatile character. As you can see by his cards, Exhaust, if your hero card is on his pilot side, you get to add +1 die to any hero's attack. You can also use it to reduce damage. So we're going to focus mainly on the constants because that gives you really an insight into how the game will will play. So exhaust during hero's attack, that hero gains +1 die. And then what's pretty cool is you've got the attack. You can target an enemy within 6 spaces. Now these symbols here, we're not going to talk about, but they do different things. Well, we can talk about actually this adds a defensive action, so you can block some damage. This lets you take a solve action. This lets you take an attack action. This lets you take a move action. So aerial mode. So when you play this card, you can move to any space. Then you can discard it to actually get back into your mech. So it's pretty cool. And Micro Guy really is that versatile, useful character that can do some damage, but can also solve. But he's not, I would say, he's a little tricky to play, and I didn't find that he hit as hard as I would have liked. And he's really focused on solving and helping out the other characters. And let's just take a look at his big bad mech suit. I think this is my favorite miniature in the set. Next, we've got Gorilla. So he's pretty cool. 2 daggers. He's an awesome hero. So you can see like just his card right here. Exhaust, attack, or move. So his exhaust ability is pretty cool. Micro Guy's exhaust is attack. On this one, it's an action you can solve, but I really enjoyed this exhaust ability because if you're familiar with the MDS system, when you exhaust cards, you get more and more actions. Now, what Gorilla does is he's very good at rescuing bystanders from your current scheme panel. If not, it lets you draw clue cards. He's very good at getting clue cards as well. He's also able to exhaust enemies, so just stopping them from triggering. Now, when you get his constants like the silent knife, you're going to be gaining extra focus results. Is a natural agility, will let him move more, and then exhaust, you can discard a focus to either deal a damage, so easily get rid of a minion or finish off an enemy just by dealing a damage. He looks like he's doing a flash kick by Alec Guile right there, which I think is cool and a fun reference to Street Masters. Or you can exhaust one of the big bads in your space and they just can't trigger it. That includes the villain if they are in your threat area. And then Tech Savvy, once again, during your solve, you can get some focuses as well. And discard 1 focus, either place 1 Justice token on a problem card, or the hero draw a card. His versatility was something that I really liked. The ability to just exhaust character enemies really made it a lot easier. And then if he's focused, he can do up to 4 attack, and then his big action is move 5 spaces and attack, ignoring the target's defense. So very versatile. And probably my personal favorite hero to play in the game right now. Here we've got Stride, who whips around the map and does a lot of stuff. She's all about moving. So her action is move, and then you can exhaust to move 2 spaces, meaning she can move 8 spaces. It's very good at getting to different places on the map. When you have her on the other side, her exhaust is just move, but then you can use an action to move to any space and solve an attack and flip the card. So that's pretty cool because you can just get anywhere. Like that, just take one of those out. But as you can see with her constant, you may move 1 additional space during your move actions, and then you may exhaust your hero to attack, gaining +1. So this is pretty cool. I like that constant for her. And let's take a look at her other ones. When you play this card, you may move to any space. A hero within 5 spaces gains +1 to their attack or solve. So she's got a little bit of a support role that she can play as well. And then after you draw a villain card, you may discard this card from your hero play area to either cancel its showdown effect or move to any space. I really like the fact that you can cancel the showdown effects. They're very useful. Then move 1 space and gain 1 focus. This may interrupt any other game effect, so I like that as well. So you can actually just like step out of an enemy's range and they can no longer hit you. So very versatile character. But as you can see, she does a lot of stuff well. And Julie didn't find that she necessarily excels at anything. But someone that pair very well with Gorilla or Majesty. And let's talk about Majesty. Here's our, Superman analog type character. Really cool. I love the way she looks. So, Get from above, like her action key, she can move to any space within 4 spaces and then choose a hero, so any hero can draw a card. So it's a pretty strong action instead of taking a regular move action. And then if she's fired up, so you can choose 1 hero to move at the 4 spaces and attack, then choose 1 hero to attack with +1 die, and then flip this card. So that I really like. And it's just choosing a hero. So that includes herself when she's focused. So she's definitely like the leader of the team and can really boost people's attacks. So doing 2 attacks with 1 of the action is incredibly strong. And then if you look at like her power of positivity, she automatically gains +1 die. She can exhaust to reduce damage. So she's good at staying in a fight. very well. Her color of the sky, she can move to any space within 3 spaces of you. So she's very good at moving as well when she gets that constant into play. And then let's just see if that was all of them. Color of the sky. Yeah, so she has power, positivity, color of the sky. I thought there was a third one, but she looks like she only has those 2 just because of the type of instance she has, like rousing speeches, hothead lets her attack from a distance, optimistic spirit, before a hero rolls dice during a solve or attack, they gain +1 dice. So she's just really a solid all-rounder, and the fact that a lot of her cards, like discard 1 minion from your scheme panel, then place 1 justice on a problem, and then you can attack or solve. It's just very cool. Also, with the amount that she can potentially gain focus and that big attack, she's really going to lead the team and do a lot of damage. Now, went a little in depth on all that stuff, primarily because we're not doing how to play in this video, and wanted to give you a nice look at the heroes. The last thing that I neglected to do, but we'll take a look at it. We have the dice. This is the hit symbol. This is the focus symbol. This is focus and hit. And then you've got the burst, which counts as a hit, a success, and then lets you roll another die. There you have it. We've taken a look at all the components for Hour of Need. Now keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review of the game. So Julie, what did you think of Hour of Need, the 4th game that we have using Blacklist Games, Modular Deck System? Oh, and the Sadler brothers. Can't forget them. They're the ones that developed it.
Well, it definitely feels familiar. It plays relatively the same way. So if you've played them, you have the advantage of having less of a game to learn, I would say. That being said, it has some differences. It has a lot of different things that you can do. I mean, you can be investigating or solving in this one. There's not as much combat, which is a positive and a negative. I felt in some of the other games, iterations of the system, at least, there was a lot of combat. There's less of it here.
And that's because the system started off with combat. So if you're looking at Extreme Masters in Brook City, there was a lot more like combat and stuff that you're doing, and then Alter Quest, and now this, you're seeing like that solve and other elements coming to the forefront. And the one thing that I will say is that when it comes to the game itself, just in terms of the mechanics, so what your hero is going to do using the villain deck and the issue deck in this case are very similar, but the mechanics, I would say, of the board itself, the villain, and the issues are very different. Whereas the heroes feel familiar, this aspect of the game definitely feels new.
So one of the things I will say, and I think what I'll do for this time is I'm going to go over the little things that, bugged me a little bit more, and then we can finish with the positive.
Okay.
I didn't feel like the heroes were balanced at a 2-player game. I really enjoyed playing Majesty. She felt very well-rounded. Yes, I enjoy players that, characters that can hit more. Excuse me. But Stride, as efficient as she is, being able to run around the board and being very good at solving, it felt like, I was a wimp. And it just made combat feel like never ending. Now she has a couple cards that mitigate that a little bit, but it didn't feel as fun to me.
But part of that was our error with regards to how we handled Curtain at the end, which we'll talk about in terms of...
Yeah, but she still didn't feel as well-rounded as Majesty, and it probably doesn't show as much in a 4-player game when she has other ththings she can do to, that she's better at, that she's focusing on, like running around and solving things. But that at a 2-player game, it just, from a character perspective, I didn't really have... I don't always want to play every single character we have in a box. They don't all interest me. And I didn't really have any real interest in playing the ones you had played.
I think you'd actually enjoy Gorilla a lot more than you would have thought. I had the opportunity to play Stride when we play tested the game, actually, with a couple of our friends, and that was really cool. And Stride was a lot of fun, moving around the map and doing a lot of stuff, but she's primarily a support role. So if you take Stride, and I've got Micro Guy in front of me who can hit hard in specific situations, much like Stride, you don't get the same feel of the game. And I do agree with Julie, I was not having as much fun playing these 2 heroes in a 2-player game compared to playing Majesty and Gorilla.
So the other thing I would say is from a print layout perspective, some things aren't quite obvious. So
card, board, art, good.
Yeah.
Cards.
Well, I said we were talking about the the things that irked me.
Yes,
first.
I'm just making sure we're talking about the cards.
So, I mean, I can read very well. I have good eyesight, but these cards I have to actually pick up and bring closer to try to look at them because of the way that they're printed. The typecast on, the typecast font on the gray background.
So, excuse me, Julia, I'm just showing people so you can see the gray versus like the white. So that just brings into question.
Now, I get that all the villains are gray. They want to make them gray to tell the difference between a villain and a hero, but they needed a thicker font to be able to contrast more. It really isn't easy to read. From a layout perspective as well, it tricked us up, and maybe because it isn't clear, maybe we were tired.
It's clear, but it's not eye-catching, the showdown effects. I would have liked to have something that's a symbol for it.
In a few cases, we made it a lot harder for ourselves and applied both when it's only one of the two effects. And I would say, in fairness, I don't read the rule book. I've said it before. Jason reads the rule book and then explains the game to me. A couple of times I was like, we got tripped up by that. And, maybe if I had read the rules as well, maybe we wouldn't have had this issue.
Well, it only happened on our third play of the game, and we do have a few things going on that have our playtime much later in the evening than we would like. That being said, the showdown text is just like, it's bold, it's similar to the activate text. It would have been nice to have something that made it a little bit more iconic. Whereas when you've got some of the showdown cards with the special rules, like your eyes get pulled to that. So depending on, what's going on with you, you can definitely make a mistake. Now, it's not a big issue. It's something that...
I call it an irk.
Yeah. It's something that it's very easily solved.
Now, the other thing for me is that I still can't, looking at this, really tell the difference between the bystanders and the minions.
The one thing I'll say is this is an upgrade pack. You don't have to use these. If you're using tokens like this, they are very distinguishable. So that is just an irk related to Blacklist Games miniatures. And I'd have to say that they've got some good quality minis on some of these. Other ones are okay. I'm not the biggest fan of their miniature quality, like across the board. I can't go out and say that the Street Masters minis, the Brook City minis, and everything, if they're not painted, are the best miniatures in our collection.
Well, they have, color bands on the lackeys. I'd almost have one of the two or both have,
a white or a black band?
The bystanders are white and the minions are black. I don't know, but it would have been nice to be able to distinguish them because I have to pick him up and look, oh, look, I think he has a gun. Oh, no, that's,
Well, the gun one is not so bad, but it's the other two that, I do get what you're saying. These poses could be more distinctive, but that's an upgrade pack problem. You will not have it if you just buy this game.
So that being said, like we said, the art is lots of fun. It's very nice. It's very comic book hero type, so it goes a lot with the theme of this. I find that maybe Majesty reminds me a little bit of She-Ra, maybe a little too much.
I think it's a little bit of She-Ra and Superman mixed together.
Yeah. So the artwork is fun. I enjoyed it, and the components are good quality. I mean, you've got the tokens are very different and very clear. And I like the dice. I like the burst option. I was pretty lucky with the burst. Quite a few.
Yeah, you've got a couple really ridiculous hits.
Burst on a burst on a burst on a burst makes, for a good hit. So, I mean, that's the positive and the negative of it for me. I mean, I enjoyed playing it. It was fun. But I'm going to keep the rest for my rating.
Okay, well, I really like this game. And the one thing I want to say is the system itself is probably my favorite of all the MDS games that we played, and it's something I think you wanted to touch on, but you didn't. This game plays incredibly fast.
Yes.
Setup time is also very quick. Besides getting the tokens and like a few minis and lackeys like set up, you can probably get this to the table in about 10 minutes, especially if you have somebody else helping you out. I mean, for us at 2 players, it's pull out 2 decks of cards, pull out 2 decks, pick the board, and we are good to go, essentially, besides a few of the tokens that we need. So that is really cool. Every game has been around the 1 hour mark. The only game that dragged on a little bit was when we were making a mistake that we went up to like the hour and a half mark. So maybe you're looking at an hour and 15 minutes. Fits perfectly with the playtime that we want. Experienced groups can probably get this played in about an hour to an hour and a half if you're playing the game at 4 players. Now the game can go up to 6 players, and that's actually one of the things where I think it might start to drag at that point. But I will say this. I think to make the game worthwhile and to really round out that experience, those expansions are almost necessary. Because right now, I can see us finding a couple cool combos and ways to play this game. Like, we like playing Majesty and Gorilla just the way that they work. Pairs really well together. Both characters are really strong, and I don't think I'd want to play the game at 2 players without one character playing Majesty or Gorilla. I can see them pairing with Stride fairly well. I can see Micro Guy being good, but I can also see him being a little bit weaker if you're not able to get easily into his mech form, which is currently on the board. I really enjoy the fact that you can go into panels, and when you're you're investigating this area, specifically trying to solve what's going on, dealing with the minions that are there. You're also rescuing bystanders. The clue cards are awesome. The fact that they give you an extra action or add dice to your roll, which goes to the point I was making with Stride being able to be very good. You can zoom around the map, get a bunch of clue cards, and there's a whole lot of stuff you can do, and then boost an attack or something later on in the game. So I love everything that the game is doing on the board, like the fact that the map, opens up like a comic book issue. Doesn't work well for each way because it's double-sided, but it's got the feel of the world. The art is great. It pops. It's eye-catching, and each hero feels distinct. And if you're playing with all 4 characters in a 4-player game, I think you're going to find a lot of balance. So Art Critiques is really playing the game at 2 players. I also watched the One Stop Co-op Shop playthrough just to make sure we weren't making any mistakes. And I saw they were playing the Gem and Ice characters, 2 characters that flowed and played off each other very well. So I'm really curious to try out the other expansions, see if we would like, playing as Judge and Jury or Wyvern and Belt and Gem and Ice more than we're enjoying playing, say, a Stride and Micro Guy. So there is a little bit of a weakness in the core box, but I think the system and this version of the system is well worth your time, but it's definitely going to affect the way that I'm going to rate this box as a whole. Another thing that really bothers me is that during the Kickstarter, it didn't perform as well as it could have, and there was only 1 ally in this box. Now, I do understand that they were trying to get some more subscribers to Blacklist Games' YouTube channel, but not having at least 1 ally for a 4-player game, I think is a problem. And I think they were almost there. I think they were like 2,700, missing a few subscribers. Putting those 4 extra cards, an ally version of each of the main heroes, would be really cool because it's fun for us, especially when we're playing 2 players, to have an extra character to help out. It also makes the gameplay a little quicker, which is kind of what we're looking for right now. It's a little bit of a gripe, but I think it's something that definitely it's negative because allies have always been a big part of all of the MDS games, and this one is definitely missing it. There's only time frame. So really gives you an ally on solo mode, which you probably really want one, but it'd be nice to have it, a 2, 3, or 4 players if you so chose. It's a great way to mitigate the difficulty a bit.
Well, that was a lot for you to say, so I'm going to keep it short for my...
Well, that was my section of it. Well, let's go on to the review now. I think it's time to give our ratings.
Yes. Yes, that was a long review, Jay. So on my end, I would say that I'll give it a 7 because I did enjoy playing it. It is a fun, fun different mechanics and gameplay system and different things that you're doing with your characters. I think it was fun. It's not higher for me because because of the little gripes that I had against it, and there are other things that I've played that I've enjoyed a little bit more than this. So for me, it's a solid 7.
And I'm going to agree with you, Julie. I would add the caveat that I think that this game could go higher. I think it could go higher for you. I think it could go higher for me as well. It is a 7 right now. I feel like once we actually really mix in the rest of the content, and I feel that the game is a 7 because it's one of the 4-player game. This box works, but I think you need everything. I think this is a game that really works best when you've got all the content to give you the level of variety that you need to play this game and play it well and have a lot of fun.
Play it often.
Well, yeah, play it often.
Because right now, I don't really see the need to replay it unless we add some more variability.
No, and I think we'll probably get this back to the table, especially if we're going to be having game night or anything coming up soon. But there's also the other 3 boxes that we have, so we'll probably try out Judge and Jury, at least one of these boxes before the end of the year. When? I don't know. We are fairly busy. But those characters mixed in with these characters can make this game an 8 because the system is good and they've really nailed it. The fact that the villain and the issues just flow really quick and are a lot easier than they were in previous iterations of the game make me really like it, but those same gripes that we both have kind of knocks it down from this game. Could have easily probably been an 8, 8.5 with maybe a little bit better characters and those allies and a few other things.
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Hour of Need, there'll be plenty on those feeds. Also down there is a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link. You'll get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase will be returned to us. Then popping up in front of us will be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release, and in front of Julie, when I finally get it done, hopefully this week or next week, I'll take you back to our how to play of Hour of Need. On that note, we're now going to grab our drink, grab our fellow superhero, or superheroine,
And we're going to keep playing games.
Yeah, definitely going to keep playing games. I think we need to try Gem and Ice next because that's more of an X-Men theme. So I think that would appeal to you.